Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how sometimes it feels like every other word in the business world is a buzzword?
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, today we're diving into one you've definitely heard, open innovation.
Right.
But we're not just skimming the surface here. We're going deep because we know you're interested in the how we're leading companies actually using open innovation to make waves.
And they are using it, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
The research you shared, it really highlights how open innovation, it's more than just a passing trend.
Right.
It's like a fundamental shift
Yeah.
in how businesses are approaching, well, pretty much everything these days.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. This California Management Review article, it really drives home the point that successfully using open innovation, it's not as easy as just, flipping a switch.
It really isn't. It's more like, how do I put this? It's like picking the right tool from your toolbox.
Okay, yeah.
Right. You wouldn't use a wrench to hammer in a nail.
You're going to cause some damage there.
Exactly. And this study found that companies are finding success, but they're doing it with these three main structures for dedicated open innovation functions. Individual professionals, dedicated teams, and then these standalone units.
So it's all about finding the right fit, right? Like tailoring the approach to the company's size, maybe where they are in their journey, their goals.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like Company N2, they started with just one dedicated open innovation professional.
Interesting.
And it's like they kind of, they scaled up later as they matured and figured things out. And I'm curious, did that shift, did it lead to any big breakthroughs for them?
Yeah, were there any big aha moments?
Yeah. Or did it change their culture and make them more innovative overall?
Right.
I'm really curious to dig into those details.
Yeah, what was the impact? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What happens during that evolution?
Yeah.
What we do see, though, is this growth, going from that one champion, that one person who's like, this is what we need, to these full-fledged teams or even units. And it really mirrors what happened with companies N18 and N20 from the study, too.
Interesting.
It's like smaller businesses or even those just dipping their toes into the open innovation waters, they might just need that one passionate person, to plant the seeds.
To get things going.
Exactly. But as they grow, so do their needs.
Of course, yeah.
And we often see that expansion into more formal structures.
It's like that old saying, you have to crawl before you can walk before you can run.
That's a good one. I like that.
So speaking of running with it, no matter what structure a company chooses, the article highlights these 4 key practices that these open innovation, I'm going to call them wizards.
Yeah, the magicians of open innovation.
Yes, that these wizards handle. Internal championing, operational development, external scouting, and then there's ecosystem orchestration.
Okay.
And you know me, I'm all about the people side of things.
Wait.
So that internal championing, that immediately caught my eye.
That's a crucial one for sure.
Because it's not enough to just have the right processes in place, right? You have to get everyone on board.
Absolutely. It's about changing the culture. And the article actually gives some really cool examples of how companies are doing this. Company N2, the one we talked about earlier, they created something called an Open Innovation Club.
Oh, I love that.
And then N4, they have these OI ambassadors.
Wow, that's cool.
It's about making open innovation part of the company's DNA.
It's not just a checklist.
No, not at all.
It's about a whole new way of thinking and working.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Remember when supermarkets first introduced self-checkout lanes?
Oh, yeah.
People were resistant, weren't they?
They were. Like, what am I supposed to do with this thing?
I know. They were so used to interacting with the cashiers, and suddenly there was this new technology.
Right.
But stores, they really invested in it. Clear signage, helpful staff. They even had incentives to get people to try it out.
Yeah. We'll give you a free cookie if you use the self-checkout.
Exactly. And now look at it.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It totally transformed the supermarket experience.
Completely.
And that's the power of cultural change when it's done right.
Such a good example. And it makes it so clear. It highlights how crucial it is to bring people along on the journey, especially when you're introducing, new ways of doing things, new technologies, processes, whatever it might be.
It's all about bringing people along.
And that actually ties in perfectly to the research's findings about open innovation functions not being static.
Right.
They need to evolve, just like we were talking about.
They do. They have to evolve and adapt.
Alongside a company's capabilities.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all, set-it-and-forget-it solution. It's a journey. It's like they're building muscle, You can't just walk into the gym one day and expect to deadlift a ton of weight.
Right. You'll hurt yourself.
Exactly. You got to train, you got to strengthen your body.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
And some companies, especially those bigger, well-established ones, they might start with these centralized open innovation units.
Makes sense.
These units, they're like the central nervous system, coordinating, driving change across the whole organization.
With company N13, right, from the study.
Yeah, N13, good example.
They initially centralized their open innovation efforts.
Right.
But then, and this is what I found interesting, they started to decentralize as they progressed.
Interesting, yeah.
Like, they were spreading that open innovation DNA throughout all their different departments.
I like that open innovation DNA. It's like it becomes part of who they are.
Exactly. But what does that actually look like in practice? How do you know if a company is really, baked open innovation into its core?
That is a great question.
Mm.
And it's not always about, like, tangible things.
Okay.
Not just about having certain processes or whatever. It's more of a feeling,
Okay.
a cultural shift, I guess you could say,
Interesting.
where curiosity, collaboration, and this willingness to look outside for inspiration.
To not be afraid of what's going on in the rest of the world.
Exactly. It becomes part of the company's DNA.
So it's less of a separate thing like, oh, we do open innovation over here. It's just how they operate.
Exactly. It's like breathing.
You don't even think about it.
You don't think about it. You just do it. Now, let's talk about the other three practices from the research.
Okay, the other three.
Operational development, external scouting, and ecosystem orchestration.
Okay.
We'll start with operational development. This one might sound a little,
A little boring.
yeah, a little dry, but it's so important.
Okay.
It's the foundation for everything else.
It's the behind-the-scenes work.
Yes, the stuff that often gets overlooked.
Right. But it's crucial.
It's all about establishing the structures, processes, the systems that support open innovation.
So without it, things fall apart.
Exactly. Without a solid foundation, it can get messy.
So if internal championing is like getting everyone on board the open innovation train, operational development is like laying the tracks.
Yes, and making sure the train runs smoothly.
Love it. Okay, what about external scouting? That sounds a little more exciting.
This is where it gets fun. It's about actively searching for those external gems.
Okay.
Technologies, startups, research institutions, anything that can give a company an edge.
I like it. You're making me think of those talent scouts who travel the world looking for, like, the next big music star or something.
Yes, exactly. Except here, they're hunting for innovative ideas, partnerships.
The gold nuggets.
Yes. But here's the thing. Companies can't just sit back and wait for these opportunities to come knocking.
Right.
They have to be proactive.
Got to go out and find them.
Exactly. They've got to signal their needs, show the world what they're capable of.
So it's about making yourself visible,
Yes.
showcasing your strengths, what you bring to the table, and actively seeking out those collaborators.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the most complex practice of the four.
Okay. This is the big one.
Ecosystem orchestration.
We were talking about open innovation being a buzzword earlier.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I need a dictionary just to understand all the lingo.
I hear you. There's a lot of jargon out there. But ecosystem orchestration, what does it actually mean?
Yeah.
In plain English.
Well, essentially, it's about the bigger picture. Innovation rarely happens in a vacuum.
Okay.
It's about understanding all the players in your field, competitors, suppliers, research institutions, even the regulators.
Wow. So it's really looking at the whole system.
Exactly, and finding ways to work together
To collaborate.
more effectively. It's about moving beyond those transactional partnerships.
I get it. Yeah. It's not just about, I'll give you this if you give me that. Exactly. It's about creating a more collaborative, interconnected approach to innovation.
Recognizing that everyone has something to offer.
Exactly. And, some challenges are just too big
Too complex.
for any one company to solve on their own.
It's like that old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yes. That's a perfect way to put it. And this whole idea of ecosystem orchestration, it really resonates with me because it really speaks to this larger trend we're seeing towards more collaborative ecosystems,
Okay. Yeah.
It's not just about one company going it alone anymore.
Right.
Take electric vehicles, for example.
Okay.
It's not just about the car companies themselves.
Right.
It's about the battery technology, the charging infrastructure, government regulations. It's like this whole web of interconnected players.
It's a whole different ballgame, really. And to be successful in that kind of world, you need to know how to make all those moving parts work together.
Exactly.
It's like the difference between, like, planning a road trip and coordinating a cross-country relay race, you
I
know?
like that analogy.
With the relay, you've got multiple teams, handoffs, logistics. It's a whole other level of coordination.
It really is. And that's why this research is so valuable, I think.
Yeah.
It gives us a framework
Okay.
for understanding, for
Yeah.
implementing open innovation
Okay.
in a way that's, more than just buzzwords.
Right.
It gets to the heart of what it takes to actually make it work.
Absolutely. This has been such a fascinating deep dive. You've given us a lot to think about. But before we wrap things up, what's one key takeaway? What's that one nugget of wisdom you want to leave our listener with today?
Well, even if you aren't, directly involved in your company's open innovation strategy,
Yeah.
I'd encourage you to think about the walls, the silos, whatever you want to call them,
Oh, okay.
that might exist within your own work, your industry.
Interesting.
Could those barriers be limiting your perspective?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Maybe there are collaborations waiting to happen,
Yeah.
even within your own company,
Interesting.
that could lead to breakthroughs you haven't even thought of.
Because you're stuck in your own little world.
Exactly.
It's a good reminder that, we could all use a little more openness
Absolutely.
in our thinking and how we approach problems. Sometimes the best solutions, they come from the most unexpected places.
I completely agree. Open innovation, it's about challenging those assumptions we all have,
Right.
embracing different perspectives,
Yeah.
recognizing that the next big idea, it could come from anywhere.
Love it. Fantastic insight. And on that note, we'll wrap up. Always a pleasure picking your brain. Until next time.
It's been my pleasure, as always.